A very strong sense of collaboration within Melbourne, and that's not just within the visitor industry, though it's certainly considered to be a hallmark of our success nationally. But it's just a sense that we muck it together, possibly because we were in a bit of an ugly place 20 years ago and we've come out of that. But I think certainly from an ongoing success of the destination, it's really important that we maintain and cultivate that sense of collaboration. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how that works from a visitor industry perspective. A brand and marketing activities generally is harmonious. Brand management, particularly when you're dealing with governmental institutions, different types of city, Melbourne, Tourism Victoria, it's actually remarkable that we've got a level of collaboration that we have and shared understanding of what the overall brand of Melbourne is, given the way politics works. Brand is very particularly attention to our own identity. And I just think that for us, we've still got a little way to go, but in the broadest possible sense, we have a shared agenda around brand. And then this last point, which is visiting friends and relatives, and this ties right into the whole visitability conversation, but it also ties into this need for us as a destination to shift our thinking to a point where we understand that the residents of Melbourne play a critical role in our success as a destination. So something like a third of all visitors to Melbourne are coming for the primary purpose of visiting friends and relatives. And we've traditionally dismissed it as low yield because we actually don't count post expenditure when these people come. And so they tend, still a significant percentage do stay in overnight accommodation away from their family and friends, but we tend to dismiss this market because the host expenditure is not counted and therefore low yield. However, and indeed the market itself, the visiting friends and relatives market, does not respond in a conventional sense to brand marketing campaigns. Because the biggest single influencer of the behaviour of people who are using friends and relatives are the friends and relatives. So traditionally what we've done is we've gone into market, into Sydney, into Brisbane, into London and said, hey, come to Melbourne. And then wondered why our visiting friends and relatives figures have remained in relative terms. So by actually, in this case point, by actually addressing the needs of Melburnians and making sure Melburnians are having a positive visitor experience and actually educating Melburnians about the importance of visitors, there's a massive opportunity here to tighten the groups and actually get the destination working together more cohesively and avoiding sort of the signature hallmark symptoms that you see in stressed destinations where there's a clear divide between resident need and visitor need. Okay, so once again, you can see how livability and visitability started to intertwine. So, the key facets of urban tourism, as I would recognise it, we've talked about livability and its relationship with visitability, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. Major events, a critical component of their business is actually the way that Melburnians and Victorians respond to things like the tennis and the football. And in fact, when you talk to, and a bit of a revelation, I was on a super mission to China a couple of weeks back, and I had one of the Chinese people who were invited to come and sort of speak as a specialist about what Chinese people were interested in. Said, we're really interested in Australian culture. I'm like, okay, Australian culture. So, and he goes, so you're interested in ballet and theatre and art galleries? No, we've got plenty of those ourselves. What we're actually really interested in is the way that Melburnians and Australians live. So the idea of going to the tennis and watching Lena play is attractive, and possibly winning is even more attractive, but the idea that you're sitting in a stadium, sitting in Fair Square, sitting at the G watching out football and watching Australians, being Australian, is actually what really fascinates them. Business events, it's remarkable because they're seeking an authentic experience. The critical thing here is that we actually don't lock them out of that authentic experience and involve them, engage them in the fabric of our lives. That's what they're really looking for. And from particularly with this Chinese market, we need to avoid making the mistakes we made with the Japanese, where we put them on buses and shipped them down to Phillip Island, Sovereign Hill, and didn't really give due consideration to what their actual visitor experience was like. We actually need to engage them in conversations, make them feel welcome. And give them a reason to come back. And as Kate said earlier, it's kind of grassroots, nuts and bolts sort of stuff, but quite often in the glamour and excitement that is the tourism industry gets forgotten, and indeed brand marketing. Business events I've mentioned earlier just do a cracking job, and certainly from that tie-in trying to reach creative opinion leaders and indeed intelligent, creative and knowledgeable people bringing the destination ECDB doing a sensational job, working at niche. International education is something that we as a city have done extremely well at. We hit a bit of a rough spot probably 3 or 4 years ago with the Indian market and the combination of safety issues and the way the government handled it at the time. Indeed, the federal government cracked down on people exploiting those visas, the education, the study visas for purposes of actually trying to get residency here rather than actually doing genuine learning. But international education is absolutely critical to the ongoing success of our destination. And incidentally, those students, they bring life, they bring activation, they bring labour. They are long-term. They may be seen as a lot of years while they're here studying, but when their friends and family come to play, they spend a lot of money. Indeed, they represent a great source of talent for us as a community. The Chinese are coming. That's deliberately a provocative statement, but the reality is we've got double-digit growth out of that market. Something like 28% growth year on year last year to the end of June. 280,000 Chinese come to Melbourne. It is going to completely change the way, and it is changing the way that tourism works in the city, but it's also going to change the way that Melbourne works. And I think we're blessed in that we've got international students already here. We've got a resident Chinese community that's been here for 160 years, albeit small. We've got business investment, we've got skilled migration. So we've got some of the platforms that means that when we walk down Collins Street and see Chinese people holding official visitor guides, we don't feel nervous or upset or challenged by that by and large. It's like, okay, well, it's another set of visitors. We don't have the same sense of visual conflict that exists in many other global destinations. When we see large numbers of Chinese, we have to think very clearly about how we're going to cater to this market in a more sophisticated way. It's not simply a matter of putting up signage and simplified Chinese everywhere. It's actually about making sure that we provide a welcoming environment where Chinese people feel that they are a part of the fabric, as I mentioned earlier. And this line about creativity, innovation and knowledge, and I think this is a strand from a tourism industry point of view, is going to become more and more dominant. And the NCDV picked it up with their Melbourne IQ branding that they launched at AIM earlier this year. We as an industry have a proud history of having more fun than anybody else. Running nice brand campaigns. We're a highly social industry, and probably at an intellectual level, we haven't invested enough grunt legwork into engaging in the broader Melbourne agenda. And I think this is one of the reasons why I'm certainly delighted that you noticed this opportunity to share some thinking with you.